Good morning and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we welcome back on Dr. Josh Judkins to speak about High Rock Tower and all we can see in the sky. Thanks so much for coming back on.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So in the past we've spoken a lot about the tower itself, the history, the telescope, which is amazing by the way, but this time we are a little bit more focused on actually what you can see in the sky, how astronomy works. So I'll start off with asking, how did you yourself get interested in astronomy?
Sure. So when I was very little, like say about 8th grade or so, I got my first telescope as a Christmas gift. And I fiddled around with it, and I had a really influential 8th grade science teacher who helped cultivate that interest. And then I kind of fell out of use with it, and then flash forward like a decade basically, or more than that actually. I was in grad school, walking home very late nights from the lab, and I went to Cornell in upstate New York. It was kind of a dark campus, and so looking up I could see the Milky Way walking home.
Wow.
And I was watching, like, I'm studying very small microscopic things and really sort of thinking downward and inward, and then on the walk home looking up, and then in my spare time watching, documentaries on like how the universe works and space stuff in general. And I literally one day had this epiphany. I used to have a telescope when I was a kid. I could just get a telescope. And so I went on eBay and bought an $83 telescope. And very quickly, about a couple weeks later, I bought the next telescope because I needed something a little bit bigger. And that sort of begun the journey of anytime I had spare moments, I would go out to a dark site or go to a roof somewhere and start to learn the sky. I'd print off like a star chart and I'd go and see how many objects I could find in that area. And I was fortunate at Cornell, history of astronomy there with Carl Sagan, having been a professor there. I met some wonderful folks in Cornell astronomy that sort of taught me how to use some of the instruments that Cornell had on campus, which got me even more exposure to learning the night sky, learning some of the more advanced instruments, because the usual amateur ones at home that you have, especially if they're not computerized, are just manual, so using your eyes to find objects in the sky.
Which is obviously a lot trickier. So I think that's something, maybe. And you even spoke about some people think that there's more barriers, or they wonder how can they get into it themselves. So it's really nice to hear you can go, if you're really interested, go see if you can get a telescope, or just get involved in any way you can.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is, one, like your eyes, literally there's so many things you can look up, and I think there's a lot of joy in just seeing what constellations you can pick out. If you're in the city, what can you see with light pollution? And then if you find yourself going out of the city on the weekends or on any other kind of trip, how does the sky look where you are there? And seeing just what you can see with your eyes. Of course, there's really bright objects you can see with your eyes. There are some deep sky objects, which like are nebulas, globular clusters, things like that. There actually are naked eye objects when you're in a darker sky. And then a lot of people might have like a pair of binoculars laying around. Even the new phones that you have, you can take a picture, like the newer ones will do like a 3-second exposure and integrate that. And then often that will pull out a few more things that you can't see. And we could speak to other ways people can learn about the sky, but I think just to sort of start to scratch at the surface of that, being open to using your phone, binoculars, and just your eyes is a nice way to start looking up. The first step is to look up.
Yeah, first step, quite literally.
Literally.
Look up. And now, another way people can do it is by going to High Rock Tower. You've restarted your Starry Nights program. And what can people currently see in the sky? Because it does change depending on elements I'm unfamiliar with. Yeah. So you could take this one.
Sure, yeah. The Earth is at a tilt, so that gives us our seasons as we go around the sun. And part of that, we're at an angle and we're going around the sun, and so we see different parts of the sky. In the northern hemisphere, of course, the whole sky rotates around Polaris, and so we have some things that we always see. They might be in different positions, like upside down or left, right, or up, down. Anyway, they change throughout the seasons, and we always see them. And then there's other things that, because they're lower down to the horizon, they might be only a summer thing that we see, or they might be only a winter thing that we see. So right now, what we're seeing in the sky is, if I were put into an induced coma and woken up and put out at night right now and had no idea what day it was, no idea what time of year it was, and I just looked up, I could tell you, it's spring. Because the winter sky is setting right around sunset, you can see the typical winter constellations like Orion, like Taurus. They're going to be faced towards the area of the sky after the sun sets. So the sun, for those that don't know, rises in the east and sets in the west. In fact, everything in the sky rises in the east and sets in the west. And so right now you'll see Orion, which is, you just can't miss it. The 3 stars in a row, and there's 4 other stars around it. That's starting to set, and then you have the more summery stuff starting to rise. So we're in a bit of a transition now, but it's still a great time to see the Orion Nebula, the Pleiades, some of the bright stars there. Even Jupiter and Mars are still quite visible. So that's another one that we'll continue to look at, and of course the moon, always visible. And then as we go into the summer, we'll get to look at things like the Hercules Globular Cluster, like the Ring Nebula. So those bring some joy as well.
And you were even speaking about it too. So, you're mentioning so many different constellations. Some I'm familiar with, some I'm not. But for anyone who maybe wanted to learn a little bit more about that, like you said, maybe see daily what is in the sky. What were some of the resources that you were referencing earlier?
So something that is like my homepage when I open up my web browser is APOD, which is Astronomy Picture of the Day. So that's apod.nasa.gov, and it's a new picture every single day. Sometimes it's just like a landscape photo that's showing some unique atmospheric phenomenon, like ice crystals that are causing really fun, like rainbow shapes or things like that in the sky. Or it might be a picture from the James Webb Space Telescope or a Hubble picture, a bunch of different stuff like that. So daily you can look at those images, and then there's a little short description that gives you some more information about it. So that can help you start to learn about the sky. But for the weekly, daily kind of stuff, a really wonderful site that I like that is done by Sky and Telescope magazine. Sorry, not enough caffeine yet. So the Sky and Telescope magazine, they publish like a periodical which costs money, but what is free is their webpage that's Sky at a Glance. So they do it in week segments. And so if you just Google Sky at a Glance, you'll find that probably the first link will be that. And it will show you, if you click on the link for that date range, that week, it'll show you each day what to look at and have these really nice little pictures of the sky, like looking east, looking west, looking north. And it'll show you like interesting, sometimes, stars and the planets will make interesting shapes, like, oh, this is a triangle, or oh, this is some other kind of interesting shape in the sky. And it'll help you start to learn what's in the sky. It'll give you a heads up, for example, if there's going to be like interesting planet conjunctions where planets are close together. It'll give you a heads up if there's going to be something fun like an eclipse or a meteor shower. And so if you start looking at that every week and then practicing going out and seeing what you can find, you'll definitely start to learn what's in the sky.
Because we've even had a few of those, larger events, as you said. I remember we had an eclipse a few months ago, so we were all going out with the glasses. Even I think meteor shower was not too long ago too, which, those are some big, sometimes more exciting ones that people can be like, oh, this is really cool that I get to witness this, because they don't happen that much.
Indeed, and actually people often come to Howard Tower and say, oh, did you catch the aurora here? Or, oh, did you catch the meteor shower? And actually, I don't go to the tower for those events. Like, those events are best seen just with your eyeballs. Like, because it's hard to, like, when you look through a telescope, you're looking at a very small section of the sky. And so it's better to go where you have an unobstructed view and you can catch like the meteors. And coming up this summer, it's sort of late summer, so we have a couple months still. The most charismatic meteor showers every year are the Geminids, which are in December, and the Perseids, which are in August. Perseids are known for their fireballs, so that one's a good one. There's always meteor showers happening, essentially. So we have the Aquariids coming up. I think the Lyrids are coming up. And so basically any night that you're out under the sky, like, take a few moments and look up. Good chance you'll see a shooting star.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really? Like you said, quite literally just looking up, observing, seeing what we can see. And I will circle back for a moment to the Starry Nights. They happen once a month on Wednesdays. They are a little weather dependent because obviously if it's raining or cloudy, you're not really going to see much. but they are free, open to the public, so anyone can sign up if they are interested.
Exactly. Yep. There's the webpage that you can sign up. It's just a simple Google form. You don't have to sign up to come, but we highly recommend it so we know how many people are coming, and also for any last-minute changes due to weather or other kind of issues. We do 3 dates at a time, so sometimes people think that we only are open those 3 dates and that's it, but no, it's just we do 3 dates at a time, so it's not this huge list when you go in there. So yeah, we have all those up there, and we will try in the summer, because it's nicer weather, to do it like twice a month instead of once a month, but again, weather dependent.
Yeah, and then as the sun starts setting later, you would have to go up a little bit on the later side too, as opposed to in the winter, it gets dark at 4 o'clock, summer, you're waiting until probably 8 o'clock.
Exactly. So that's the nice thing about winter, even though winter's colder, is that usually it's more amenable to like folks with younger children that want to come up, because it's better for the bedtime. So in the summertime, I mean, sometimes it's not dark until like 9:30. So it's a late evening, but it's worth it.
So I know I've been to a couple of these, both filming and also just for fun, and they're always awesome. And I know I have to wrap up in a moment, but was there anything else that I hadn't touched upon that you wanted to make sure you mentioned?
Oh, sure. So when it comes to like learning more about the night sky and looking up, I know that was a theme of our conversation today. There's also some apps that are really nice, and one that I use a lot is called Stellarium, like Stellar EM, Stellarium. And it's free, you can put in your location, and it's very nice to sort of, you can toggle on the constellations, you can toggle on satellites, you can look at, you can search for different things and set your location, date and time, all that kind of stuff to see what's in the sky. And there's a few more too, like there's the NASA app, the Skyview, Skywalk apps. And if you're like a YouTube person, or if you just want some other like free resources to learn, there's some really nice YouTube channels that I like. One's called Astrum, really nice production there. And then also, if you want to get really nitty gritty into like the latest like astronomy kind of publications and like more academic kind of science, way over my head, if I'm honest, but it's fun to like tickle the brain, is Dr. Becky. I just recommend taking a look at her on YouTube, and if you're on like Instagram or Facebook, you can certainly find other influencers that talk about the latest space news as well.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I said, you've definitely given me and our audience so much to think about. Thank you for coming on to share all those resources and all the amazing things that are always right above our heads.
Anytime. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, anytime. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we will see you next week with more guests.